This episode of XIV Reborn is brought to you by Audible. For a free 30-day trial and to receive a free audio book, all you got to do is go to audible.com/gamebreaker. Go, 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 go. What is up, everybody, and welcome to XIV Reborn, episode 9 for September 24th, 2013. I'm Gary Gann. You're watching Gamebreaker TV. Coming up on today's show, it's 1 month after launch. We're going to take a look at the numbers and see what they're all looking like. We got some details for patch 2.1, and everyone gets an earring, but where the hell are you going to keep them? I don't know. I still don't know. First up, joining us for the XIV chat, you know him as Mr. Happy, Mr. Michael POVEROMO. How are you, sir?
Doing well. How about you, sir?
Excellent, excellent, excellent. Ready for some XIV chatter. And
always.
Joining us from all up in the Game Breakers, Mr. Mike BYRNE. How are you?
Fantastic, sir. Yourself? I see
Excellent,
Behemoth
excellent.
is up. We're going to have to delay the show here. I don't know if it's my server or your server, Pete.
It's my server.
Is
But
it
he's
yours?
not really up.
Oh, okay. Last week you got burnt by that.
Last week he
so-
was really up. This week he's not really up.
Hey, Gary,
Sorry,
I do have
delay.
a quick community little shout out here.
Oh.
We were talking last week about story modes and people being jerks about that and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And then you just have the general jerks that, you know, oh, God forbid you wipe on a boss once, they're bailing on the party. I got to give a quick shout out to Verse Nocturne, Lust Kazumi, and Envy Kazumi. Great party. Some of us had never done AK before. Some of us had, stuck together, taught everybody the fights, stayed there a little longer than maybe a normal player should have. Community shout out to good people. You deserve it. Thank you. It was a great AK run.
Shout out from Magic Man. All right. Always good to hear from the community. Good team, good team. All right, so what's up first today? So it's basically we're 1 month in on the 14, and people are having to start paying for it now. Now it's the real deal. So some of us have already had to sub up. That Magic Day came, and you had to clunk your credit card down.
How magic was it? How magic was it for you, Mr. BYRNE?
Shut up.
Shut him up.
That day sucked. It was after we did the show and I had gone on that rant, Gary, about not being able to pay. I'm checking emails and stuff, and my younger brother, who's a World of Warcraft guy, he emails me and he says, "Here's an ultimate game time card. Go play and stop bitching."
He's like, "Shut up! Here you go." Burn.
Excellent.
That's funny. Yeah, so some of us have already had to sub up. Others are getting ready for that date to creep up, probably really soon here. What do you think? What's your feeling now? 1 month in, Mr. P. High number of subs. I think we're gonna get to some numbers in a little bit here, but you think we're gonna see the majority of people sticking around?
I think people are definitely going to stick around. I wouldn't expect numbers to drop too much when the game starts charging a sub. I'm going to expect it more to drop if people don't get, or people find nothing to do in the next coming of months before patch 2.1. So I'm going to look at the months to come to see if sub numbers drop at all, but I think now they're going to be fine. A lot of people seem to still really be enjoying the game.
What do you think, Mr. BYRNE? Obviously, people on the show probably watching here, and people, all of us and people watching the show probably already made their decision and they're probably subbing up, but I don't know. You've had a good amount of time. What do you think? Do you think it's a deal breaker now? You know, the whole free to play / sub thing. You think it's going to cross a lot of people's minds?
I think so. I mean, I think it would be great. And like you said, we're going to talk about actual numbers here in just a minute. And some of them are pretty impressive to the point where I don't think that's the final number. I do think we're going to see some dip now that the wallet's got to come out. I think that you mentioned deal breaker, though. The deal breaker in this situation, at least in my book, is the server transfer issue, which is still outstanding, right? I mean, we know it's coming. Yoshi P has talked about it. I estimated mid-October. Recent statements point to the beginning of October now as the date. if they can't get that in quick, I think that's going to cause more problems than actual game features or things like that.
So what do you guys think for people out there who may be on the fence, maybe they haven't put the credit card down? What do you think is actually gonna? What do you think would make people leave right now? Do you think it's more? I think the high. I'm gonna say I would go on the limb and say the higher end players who are up on the high end max level are gonna stick around for a while and give it a little more time, even though they may be kind of waiting for some more content. I'm wondering more about that middle of the road people who are maybe level 15 and to 30-ish, where there's still a ton of content, so there's not like there's a lack of stuff to do. I don't know. What do you think? Do you think they might? What do you think some of them might? What makes them leave?
I think right away when you hit that bracket, if you haven't, it's easy to lose your story quest first off. So if you lose your story quest, you may get a misrepresentation of what that first leveling experience looks like and get turned off to the game. The other thing that I think is going to weigh into opinions here is that's the level where you really start to begin to find out that how am I going to do this on my second, third, fourth, and fifth classes? And if I don't like fates and dungeons and leaves and things like that, why would I play this after I get this one character to 50? Right around mid-30s is when you start to really think about, ooh, how's this going to look for my second and third classes? And I think that could be a little bit of a turnoff if it's just not your thing. Even though you still got plenty of time.
Is it mandatory? Are you going to have to do that? Like, do you really have to?
It depends. Some jobs only need to go to like level 12. Sometimes you only just need like maybe second wind or something and internal release, which you get really early from Pugilist. And some subclasses like
that sounded
Lancer,
like an odd combination of abilities there, right? Just need your second wind and some internal release and you are good.
Good to go.
Let's just say they're energy drinks. Sound more like energy drinks than anything else. You could call them that. But then some subclasses like Lancer have abilities like Blood for Blood, which are in the mid-30s. So you'll never have to take another class to 50 unless you plan on playing it seriously. But taking them to the mid-30s, I can see what Mr. Byrne is saying. Sometimes after Quarry Mill, fate grinding, just all of a sudden interest after Quarry Mill just dips once you get to Coerthus.
So what do you think? What do you think the answer is for those people who don't really want to do that? Because I'll be honest, I don't want to do that.
Switch it up. Don't only fate grind. That was my best advice for people. I mean, leave quests aren't great, but switch them up. Get some gear from the leave quest. Do queue for a dungeon with a few friends. Do things like that. Try out the dungeons you may have just straight out skipped the first time around, like the Sunken Temple, or I don't even remember which ones are part of the story, Halatali. And try those out. Go back and do those. They're not bad experience. They're just per hour, numbers-wise, not as good as Fates.
Is there enough there though to like, or is it going to be like a really slow grind for most people if they kind of take that route? Because I imagine it's going to be a slow crawl.
Yeah, you're right. It's a slow crawl. Pound for pound, nothing even comes close to Fates. It's not even a discussion, let alone numbers that are close.
Do you think it's a problem though in the game, Byrne? Like, do you think it's a problem that the fact that when you go for your second job, it feels so much more painful than the first time around? I mean, talking about people on the fence and wanting to possibly leave. Do you think people who are ready to subscribe be like, I don't really want to just grind Fates. Like, I don't want to do that.
Right. If you do, you have to play it smart for your first three classes. Battle classes I'm talking about here, not crafting, not gathering, talking strictly battle classes. Your first three, you have some boost stuff that you can do. Obviously, your first one, you get the storyline, and that's a big piece of experience going through. Your second and third, you can play off of the side quests that were in the two cities that you didn't start in. So you have extra things that you can use to supplement experience there, too. It's when you start to reach the mid-30s on that second and third class, and then any other class after 3, that you really, now you're playing for dedication and you want certain items and certain levels and you're actually going for something. Yes, it's going to be a turnoff to some types of players. But I think there's enough there at endgame now, and particularly with 2.1, that if all you're interested in is one class and experiencing endgame, I do think you have enough to play. I think you need more options as far as farming a few things, and we'll get to that later. But there's plenty there to actually do to keep you busy.
All right, so we've got some numbers here, some pretty impressive numbers. Yoshi unveiled the Eorzea census at the Tokyo Game Show this past week. So his slides basically broke down a lot of the population information. But before we get in,
really cool.
Yeah, it's really good to see some of this insight. Before we get into that, let's look at the overall numbers of players. So check this out. This is they're still showing 344,000 concurrent users, which is impressive. This number has been kind of what is it, about 3-4 weeks old now, I think, when we first heard this number. So it looks like that's holding steady. What do you guys think of these other two tidbits though here? So 617,000 daily unique logins and 1,080,000 total unique logins.
Seems solid to me.
Those are, to be honest, I mean, I'm a fanboy, but those are much bigger than I anticipated.
So a million people, basically, million people.
Yeah.
It's a good amount of people. So now that we've got the million number out there, I don't know. What do you think?
Right.
I mean, it's a ton of people in the game. They definitely give the game a second chance. I got to say that. They broke a million, which is pretty impressive for definitely the game where it came from. But
I didn't see a million players here. And like I said, I'm a fanboy. To be honest, did you guys? I mean, I saw the version 1 crew coming. I saw the version 1 disappointed crew at least willing to give the game a shot. And yes, I understand that some of us have had the sub already and some have not, so there's probably a little bit of play in that number. But 1 million is a big number. I think, is it the draw of the game, or is it? Yeah, well, not only that, but is it also the launch time? Everything else got kicked away from this period of the year, and they launched alone. Is it just the new big thing? Is that it?
It's hard to say. I don't know. I mean, I think the game had more hype this time around on 2.0 than it did on 1.0 when it got released. I think more people knew about it, and and it was kind of like this, like, what's going to happen? What's going to happen? And even people I think that didn't play 1.0 heard about this, and they were like, oh yeah, that was that game that totally sucked and failed. Wonder what that's going to do. So they were intrigued.
Think about it though. It's 1 million, and they couldn't sell a digital copy for the last 3 weeks.
This is true.
1 million unique logins, and they haven't been able to sell the damn thing. That's really impressive.
Well, let's do some predictions, because we never do this on shows like this. All right, so we got like 1 million.
The answer is Saturday.
1 million uniques. What do you think the subscriber count's going to be? How many people do you actually think are going to subscribe to the game?
I think Yoshi P's pretty spot on in his guesses. 400, 500,000. I think
that's his guess.
I think it was a 40 to
50%.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's what he's expecting, and considering the amount of unique log. I mean, only people who played 1.0 are paying right now, so we still have to look forward or look towards, what is it now? October 4th, I think is the last day for people.
They're about a week away, a little over a week.
Yeah, so October 4th. I think we really have to wait till maybe 2 weeks into October and look at the numbers then. If they're
but let's just say it's a million then. Let's just have fun. Let's say it's a million.
Here's the funny thing too. Did anybody on this show sub for less than one, or for only 1 month?
Yeah, I only subbed for one.
So you subbed for one. Happy. I know you dropped down at least 3 months, probably 6, just for the pricing. Same thing I did. Chat, throw a 1 up if you subbed for more than 1 month.
I subbed for 1, and I also had a totally confusing time. Do you guys have multiple versions on the same account? Because WoW is confusing. You can have, so it's a sidetrack here, but you can have 2 PC copies on one account, which I did, but I thought I did it on accident, and I thought I was going to have to try and pull that account off and get a separate account made. But holy crap, I was totally confused. But just so people know, it's kind of interesting how they do it. So when you attach 2 PC accounts to one of your, what is it called, service account, when you log into the game, it actually pops up when you first log in. It says, which account do you want to go on, 1 or 2? And then you choose that, and then your characters are there for that account, which you can actually have both accounts logged in simultaneously at the same time. So they just make it really easy to multi-box. So farmers, making it pretty easy for you.
Now you just need programs that separate the instances on your computer.
There you go.
No,
But I was totally confused. It took me a while to figure it all out.
User for the farmers.
BYRNE, what do you think? Million users? How many are going to subscribe? What do you think the number's going to be?
And looking at chat, and there was virtually very low. I only subbed for 1 month numbers, so they're doing well. I hope it continues. I'm going to go a little higher than Mr. Happy there. I'm going to say around the 600K mark. Possibly around the 700K mark.
Wow, we're taking 70%.
And I'll put that prediction at about the 3-month target point. So that will be the 1 free month and the 2 paid months target point, around 600 to 700K. Yeah, a 60 to 70% retention. We've already subbed for 3 to 6 months, all of us anyway, right? We were like, give us the free little hand thing, please. Here's my money.
Hey, if you're paying for 3 months, you wanted the mount too.
Right.
There you go. I'm gonna go with. I'm gonna say. I'm gonna go with first month of paying, which I guess would be really soon. 500,000. I think it's gonna go down from there. I think it'll probably level off around 400. That would be my guess.
And that's what Yoshi P said. That
sounds about right.
Give us 400, we'll be fine. We'll keep doing what we do.
I think patch 2.1 will determine a lot of that also.
Yes, that will actually. It really depends how much of that content. That'll determine a lot. These interesting. Let's get into more of these numbers because it's actually really interesting to look at some of these. A lot of fun things. Hires and Makotes make up 2/3 of the characters on both the NA and the EU. NA, EU, and Japanese world. Anybody surprised by this?
Nope.
I thought Makote would be bigger, but yeah.
I thought Makote would be alone on that statistic.
How about Rogaden? Only 7%.
That does surprise me. Even Galka had better than 7% representation in 11.
That's
I guess
really
I hopped
low.
off that train, so I'm partially to blame.
Oh no! What'd you do?
I got 2 File of Fantasias. What do you want from me? I had 2 of them.
I actually threw one away because you couldn't carry 2. That was kind of disappointing. I was like, I don't want to re-roll my character right now, but I can't carry 2, so I'm going to discard one of these and get rid of it and just save the other one. You left Rogaden, huh?
Why does everybody hate? Why does everybody hate the big? Why does everybody hate the big mean bastards? I mean,
it's not that they hate them. It's because you can be a cat or you can be a little cute fellow. They're just much more attractive choices.
I would have thought the Rogadan would have been more popular of a choice though in the West here than that. I can understand that in the East, but I thought it would actually been a little more popular here. Check this out. This one's pretty interesting. Here's the level distribution between both legacy players and regular players here. Look at the number of 50s.
Yeah.
Are there really that many legacy players like to impact things like that?
I did not think there were enough of you to skew that data like that there, Mr. Happy.
Hey, think about it, maybe 20,000, 30,000 people with most of their 50s. Skews that number pretty big.
Interesting how high the numbers are still in the really low levels, and 15 sort of being the dominant level here. And it kind of gives you
that kind of makes sense, though, right? I mean, with your sub job has to be at 15. There's certainly incentive to get every crafting and gathering profession that you can to at least level 15 if you don't, even if you don't intend on taking it higher. So that one kind of makes sense to me that there would be a big spike at the 15. I'm amazed though. It's like you hit the beginning of the 20s and everybody's, it's the same distribution all the way to 50 pretty much.
Yeah, the bump at 30.
Everybody's so evenly spread out there.
You know why, Mr. BYRNE? Fakes. At 25 is really where the big fake grind hits you.
Yeah.
And that's where the least amount of numbers are. People have pretty much decided if they want to take a class up past those points or if they don't want to take a class up past those points once they hit that certain threshold.
Interesting. Anything else jump out at you guys on this graph?
The level 1s is all crafting from Legacy.
It's gotta be.
It's all crafting.
Has to be.
It's all crafting. I promise you. That's all. I forgot how many copies 1.0 sold, but if they're including everybody in that statistic, crafting is a big part of the level 1.
All right, this next one here, this next graphic is actually fun, but there's really a lot more to it. So check this one out. So here's a breakdown that shows the roles people have when they queue up in Duty Finder. That's what this is representing. Now, I gotta ask right now, seriously, somebody please help me.
What is
what
other?
The F is other? What? Is there some
I don't.
Other is, this is a snapshot in time, right? It's not an average or anything like that. It's just, let's go and get a snapshot in time. And so what happens is you end up in that snapshot, you look at all the people that are in Duty Finder, and some of them have switched classes to craft while they're waiting for the Duty Finder to pop. And so other is pinging those people that are sitting in a crafting profession waiting in the Duty Finder. So there you go. That's what it's crafting or gathering. Means you queued up, but then you switched classes for a little while.
Now, how is this broken down? Is this like a big time period? Is this an average? What are we dealing with here?
It's like a snapshot, right? There's not an average, or it's not like over the course of the Duty Finders for the last week or for the last month. No, I mean, we don't have very many stats on exactly when this picture was taken, but it's literally like, hey, let's go into the Duty Finder right now and count everybody up, and let's go make some infographics on it. That's how you end up with, well, I don't know what they queued as, because right now he's a culinarian. Well, let's just make up an other category and we'll throw everybody in there. So this could be any time that you're playing.
So then how do you guys think this reflects on the queues? Like, if you look at this sort of snapshot here and you just kind of look at the numbers, I mean, it kind of all kind of coincides and makes sense. You would sort of look at this and think that queue times would be like super short. You got the right percentages there. Nothing seems to be really out of whack. But we're not seeing everything that impacts queues here, I would believe.
Yeah, well, I mean, on the front, it looks okay because you need 1 healer, you need 1 tank, and you need 2 DPS. So they're about even on those respects, where DPS is twice as high because 2 of them per party. But that's just a snapshot. Like we said, that's at any one given time. And while I do like that the tanks were static at 23%, sticking together, I know that DPS queues are not good, and that there's definitely something missing.
You think this is skewed?
The thing that's missing is
67 snapshots until they got one that looked right.
You're right. They were like, "How's the Duty Finder image look today?" No,
yeah, not so good.
Shit, that one's nasty. No, we'll do it. No, it's not taking into account, guys, that we're going to be queuing for different instances. Right?
Yes.
I mean, all things being equal, if we all queued for every single instance and we're willing to take any instance that popped, then the distribution on that chart would be pretty good. Your queue times would be pretty good, and you'd have a 1-1-2 relationship. But what's not taken into account there is the fact that I'm queuing for just AK, while Mr. Happy's queuing for hard mode Garuda only, and we're not willing to join parties that are midway in progress. So there's a lot of those types of extra factors that go into your actual queue time. Plus, the queue made me mad yesterday to the point where I took screenshots of the damn thing, and I was going to send them to Mr. Happy for his next video, because I know he's going to talk about it at some point on a video. The Duty Finder is still is not great at doing its level 50 job, particularly
friends
for AK
don't let friends duty. I'm telling
you. Yesterday I queued up for an AK run last night, prime time, U.S. time. It was 9:30 Eastern, 6:30 West Coast. I mean, it doesn't get any better than that on a Monday evening. I queue up for AK, and I sit in the queue as a DPS, single DPS for 1 hour and 6 minutes.
Wow.
Yes, that sucks. But that's not my big issue. That's not my big issue.
But that sucks right off the bat. That sucks.
It sucks. But my issue with it is the Duty Finder itself, because the party, I was watching the count, the party was formed at the 35-minute mark. It's the number of available instances for AK.
Really? What?
Yes. That I sat in the queue for another 30 minutes while it reserved an AK instance.
Oh,
so that sucks.
That really
Mr. BYRNE,
sucks.
I will say this, though. Not only did you catch it prime time on a weekday, but you caught it prime time in the week because that's when mythology points reset, is Monday.
Yeah.
So that made it even worse. I know today people have been queuing in prime time and getting anywhere from 10 to 20 minutes to reserve the instance as opposed to the usual 30 to 40. And it'll...
So there's still some work that needs to be done there.
Yeah.
That's interesting. That does kind of suck, though. I don't know. Anything else you guys think that could you suggest, or anything that could sort of help lower the queue times, especially for endgame? Because I know our link shells. I still see a lot of complaining the link shell for Amdapor keep.
Yeah. Another level dungeon at the same point in the game. All they need
split them
is
up.
Another dungeon. Something to split it up. 2, 3, 4 dungeons. That's all they need.
Well, I mean, and we're going to talk about this later. There are a couple things that are cool in 2.1 that will help address this. But in the meantime, please just make Wanderer's Palace equivalent with AK as far as drops right now. If you want to alter it once 2.1 drops and there's a few more grinding options, cool. I'm fine with that. Give it a little bit of a nerf bat then, but just give me some other option besides AK right now.
Lack of options. Interesting. All right. So finally here, although this graph doesn't really matter too much, we're going to show it because apparently Mr. Byrne likes it a lot.
I love this. I love this.
What do you think? Any surprises here? So showing the Grand Company allegiance here. Maelstrom coming in all the way in the back with 27%, Twin Adder at 36%, and Immortal Flames in first place with 37%.
And I of course, am Maelstrom.
And I'm actually surprised the Maelstrom only has 27%. I thought Limsa would have more of a backing, and Gridania would be sort of lower on the list. But I guess with the fixes to the Gridanias, like if you had shown me this chart in 1.0, it would have been 99% Immortal Flames, 1% other.
Yeah, and that's the reason I love this graphic. It's to all you people before the game launched that was like, everybody's going to be an Immortal Flame, and that's it.
No.
It's good, though. I like seeing that.
What is this? What do you guys think? So we're going to talk a little bit more, but what do you think this means about PvP? Because don't we all anticipate that there's going to be some sort of faction-based PvP? Yes. I guess maybe just would assume that it's going to use the Grand Company as the dividing line. Would you guys agree?
Yeah, front line. It's not in 2.1, but we will see a faction-based PvP. And I'm glad that those numbers are that even for that sake alone.
Talk to me a little bit more about the front lines. What do we know? It sounds like something I might actually like.
It's
definitely your cup of tea, Gary.
It's most reminiscent and most inspired by Guild Wars 2 World versus World versus World. Yoshida said it himself. He wants the zone to be smaller because he feels like there's too much empty space in the World versus World of Guild Wars 2, and he wants it to be more objective based and more fair too. Because let's be honest, if you've played Guild Wars 2, you know this. If you haven't, basically one world would usually completely dominate for the entire week, and no one would want to do it anymore. And he wants to really avoid that. So it's mostly just a zone. You go, you PvP against the other factions, you try to take points, and it's never ending for a specific period of time. The match lasts several days.
So we're talking open world?
That's the closest thing you'll get. It's a zone for PvP.
Interesting. Does the combat system work kind of the same, like for an open world type PvP? I mean, what do we know? Do we know any other details on it?
I'm a little concerned about this. I mean, when you read it, it's like Shades of Ilum, right? From the Republic, with like an open world aspect and wanting to own parts of that zone and everything like that. But yes, if you enter the zone, you are eligible to be punched in the face. So in that type of respect, Gary, yeah, it's your type of open world. Just as soon as you walk in, know that you are allowed to be punched right in the mouth. Whether you flagged or not doesn't matter. So I think there's a lot of opportunity here. I'm looking forward to it, but we've seen things that kind of emulate this that don't work sometimes. So, and chat said we don't talk about that zone.
We don't talk about Ilum. We never mention Ilum. Now it's gonna be interesting. I can't wait to hear more about this. And what about skills? How are skills gonna work? It makes you wonder, like, how they're gonna sort of work, like PvP only skills. I mean, would they just become enabled when you enter this zone?
That's a little bit weird, right? You got abilities on your hotbar that are grayed out, and you zone into somewhere, and all of a sudden they're active abilities. But I can't think of another way to do it, because they have to put in some type of anti-crowd control. You know, that's going to be put in there for Wolf's Den, so that you can break a sleep or shorten a sleep or something like that. So those types of abilities that are going to have to be added, yeah, they're going to have to be added for frontlines as well, and they're going to have to be active as soon as you enter the zone. So it's I think that's a little bit weird, but I can't think of another way that they would do it.
Maybe a gear set for PvP. I don't know. You need to be able to set your hotbars before you go in also. So, and they need to make sure that you can't abuse it in PvE. So they have to do something.
It's just going to be flat out unusable in PvE.
Yeah.
The question is, you know, when you first zone in, is it just, okay, the abilities are ready, hope you don't get punched in the mouth while you're fixing your hotbars, or do you roll with the hotbar already set up and it becomes active when you go in? There's still a lot as far as
a lot of questions.
How do I get my skills ready to go?
Yeah.
We'll see what happens. I mean, it's gonna be interesting. I can't wait to see when this starts rolling out. So there's a lot more here to talk about. I want to talk about with the Tokyo Game Show, and they went into a lot to 2.1. But first, I want to tell you guys about Shutterstock. If you guys checked out Shutterstock yet, what are you waiting for? I want to hook you guys up with 25% off. All you got to do is go to Shutterstock.com, sign up, make an account. Free account. You don't even have to start subscribing today. You can start looking through all kinds of footage, images, and I don't show the moving footage often. I actually want to show you guys something today. I was thinking like more stuff like how we use it. This is a pretty good example. So you mentioned Guild Wars 2, and we have a Guild Wars 2 show here on Game Breaker called Guildcast, and I'm sure everybody out there is pretty familiar. Whoops, stop. Everybody's pretty familiar with this image, right? And you know, we took one of the guild. This is again why I'm showing you. You guys could, if you have a YouTube page, a show, things like that, podcast, you want to create like intros and stuff like this, just little subtle things sometimes make it really cool. So we took this image here, but you could see these embers floating all around. It's not just, we just took the static, you know, artwork from ArenaNet. But then how did we get all that done? Did we spend hours in After Effects making all that scrap? Heck no. Went to Shutterstock. And a lot of these things, like, people wonder how you use this. And that's a good example of how you use it. So here's an example of, you grab something like this, and then you lay it on top of your footage, and you use things called composite modes, which basically knocks out the dark areas and lets your background show through. So you can do that with a lot of these types of things and lay this on top of different artwork, like lights. I've used some things like this. Where is that one? This here. I've used things like this before to kind of put over other content that we create. And this is just a really simple, easy way to make your stuff on YouTube just totally pop and look so much more polished than the average other person out there. Because, you know, who's going to sit there and render particles for hours upon hours upon hours? It's not that easy of stuff to just know how to do it. If you know how to do it, that's great. But some of the stuff like these light passes and stuff, that's like serious After Effects work. But use it to your advantage. Go over to Shutterstock.com, make an account, start saving some stuff to different light boxes. There's a couple different packages there. You can download images in just by image. There's a monthly subscription. But I want to save you guys 25% off on your account. All you got to do is make sure to use the promo code GameBreaker9. Just use that when you're going to set up your account there, and you'll automatically receive 25% off. All right, so the Tokyo Game Show, which was all this last week, we got lots of info dropped about the 2.1, which is good news because everybody wants to hear about it. Everybody wants to hear about 2.1. So, first up, he talked about the Lightning Fate. Mr. Happy, I'm going to throw this one to you. This is all you. You thought this was actually going to come a few weeks ago. That day has come and long gone. So what do you think? When are we going to see this? When do you think we're going to see Lightning? What do you think?
We are going to see it in mid-November. That was the date, the rough translation of the date that was given. I believe it was the week after the 14th at some point. So we can expect it around then. And honestly, I'd expect to see a lot of content coming around that time, not just Lightning Fate.
What about
high five to Reinhardt, by the way, the guy
Always
that does these live translations so that we here in the States can watch them live and understand most of the content. Huge shout out. That's not easy stuff to do.
Huge shout out. What about the other crossover stuff? Or is there gonna be some other crossover stuff happening? Anything gonna make the internet explode with hate? Or is Lightning still the only troublemaker?
I think people hate Lightning way more than any other thing. Maybe Cloud people would rise up against just as much, but I think he'd have way more of a backing at some point than Lightning does. The other two crossovers, one I'm a huge fan of, and one I have no prior experience with. So, one is a Final Fantasy XI crossover, which I'm all right with because the way I'm interpreting this game's story more and more leads me to believe certain things. And it's a famous black mage named Shantoto, and there's actually an achievement already in the game named after her famous laugh for the black mage relic weapon. I'm sure you'll have that very soon, Mr. Byrne.
Yes, I'm a few stones and one fight away.
Oh, and then I'm intrigued. Where do you think this game's going? What did you mean by that? You kind of alluded to like where this thing is going. Where's it going?
I think Eorzea sits at the heart of all the Final Fantasies, and that's like a big drawing point of how they're going to incorporate these characters. Just because, in case you didn't know, and Mr. Byrne, I don't know if you actually read your level 5 Thaumaturge quest, but they mention Shantoto in the quest. They say I would something like I would wish to one day be like the great Black Mage Shantoto, which alludes me to believe Vana'diel sits on the other side of the world on the same planet as Eorzea, and especially with the Mammal Jaws being there as well over in Lenosha, and they are the exact same beings because they still mention the astral candidates from Final Fantasy XI, and they're still looking for ways to obtain it, but now they're out here murking, trying to make money, and trying to learn more about the powers that the Arcanists possess. So it just seems like everything is going to converge into this world. And there's some other things I can mention, but too many spoilers involved. I'd rather not do it just yet, not until we decide spoilers are okay with the show.
Damn. I was all into it.
Gary, you gotta get. What do you mean, damn? You're still leveling. What do you want?
I know, but I just want to hear about it because it sounds awesome. I just want to hear about it. I
will say though that 14 got the better end of this stick. What 14 is giving back to Final Fantasy XI is just kind of like, okay, thanks guys, appreciate it.
I didn't even know they were giving anything back. I didn't even focus. I've long since cared about what happens to Final Fantasy XI.
You don't care about the second crossover though, the Dragon Quest?
Not that I don't care about it, I just have no experience with it. I've only played a handful of Dragon Quest games. I think that the minion for the Dragon Quest crossover is amazing, and I think that it's definitely the perfect monster. Just looking at it, I feel like it's in Eorzea. It's going to be in Eorzea, but you could get away with that. People who don't know what Dragon Quest is, it won't bother them. Because it's just these awesome-looking golems.
Mr. Happy is like making excuses for everything that gets thrown into 14 now. He's like, yeah, but you wouldn't even know. I mean, if you didn't know, you wouldn't know. So this
no, but see, Lightning. I care about.
This one's from 11. So
an issue
it's
with
from
this
11
one?
to 14. It's okay. I'm a huge Dragon Quest guy. Don't get me wrong. I mean, everybody knows the extent of my SE fanboyism.
You don't want your Dragon Quest in your...
I don't want Dragon
Eorzea?
Quest in here. I think it's cool. I like the minions. I like what they're going to do with the fate and everything. But this, I think, kind of crosses the line because now it's not Final Fantasy related even.
That is weird. I mean, it is kind of weird. Like, they just mix, like, completely different universes together and just, like... Yeah. It's just bizarre.
I don't think the golems are going to have a good explanation like maybe Shantoto and Lightning will. I mean, because Lightning got her own trailer. I don't think Shantoto is going to get the same treatment, and I definitely don't think the Dragon Quest golems.
And I think Shantoto makes a lot more sense than Lightning because there are those direct lore relations, and even further down the Black Mage quest line, it's referenced again. So there's direct correlation there. Lightning is a little bit of a reach in my estimation, but it's a reach that makes logical, stupid lore sense on both sides, Final Fantasy XIV and 13. DQ is cool. I don't think it has any place in this game and is just a bizarre fanboy crossover. I'll play it because I want the companions and everything, but I'd rather not start seeing things like that because the last thing I want to see is Sora running around.
I knew those were the next words coming out of your mouth because I know it's gonna happen when Kingdom Hearts 3 comes out. It's going to happen. You are going to see a Sora outfit in those big clown shoes.
And what do you think? You think they're just gonna like just play it off as like, hey, just like this is just a fun kind of whimsical thing we're gonna do, and it's a crossover. And we know most of you guys like both of the franchises, so hey, just live with it. You don't think they're gonna like try and actually explain some reasoning behind this, do you?
Not much. They're gonna be pretty loose with the details on this one.
It's just a marketing ploy. I mean, that's all. They just want. That's all this is. So, understandably, I could see why a lot of Final Fantasy fans would be put off by this.
Yeah, but at the same time, it's not going to ruin my experience.
It's not going to ruin the game.
I did ask in one of my recent videos if people felt like it ruined the immersion, because I know that that's definitely a big factor for a lot of people when it comes to an MMO, especially a Final Fantasy MMO. How big of a role immersion plays, and when you start having characters from other universes, does it ruin your immersion? Some people it does, some people it doesn't. But that's the only thing I could really see being.
Chat.
I do. I'm not even talking about in this specific instance, but I do think it's a bit odd. I don't know how. Like, I think writing is extremely important.
Mr. BYRNE, you have set afire so many other Enix titles with Sora jumping across worlds.
First off, I don't hate Sora. I love Kingdom Hearts. But second, come on, stop with the Sora can travel to other worlds, so it makes sense that he could do it. Well, and then Chrono from Chrono Trigger. Well, I mean, he could time travel and go to different worlds, so we can bring. Stop. I don't want all this stuff. It doesn't break immersion for me, but it does. It doesn't ruin immersion for me, but it does break it in the moment. And it will be cool to have the companions. I'm not saying that it won't. I'm gonna do it because I'm a sucker. But
that's my favorite one, Lara Croft. That's my favorite one. Eorzea is just a giant tomb.
Age of 47. That's
all right, next up, let's move on. Let's talk about Binding Coils of Bahamut. So for those who maybe don't know, this is kind of the big deal at the moment for the endgame peeps. It's an 8-man raid with 5 turns, each having a different boss. At the Tokyo Game Show, they said that no one had beaten the 5th coil yet. Is this still the case?
As far as we know, rumors have been going around of a Japanese free company beating it, but I haven't seen anything official. And Yoshi P said he believes nobody has defeated it. He hasn't, but I feel like at the time he would know. They're definitely watching the people who are in there.
Yeah, but you probably want to be safe even at a conference like that, because something like this, you don't want to say like nobody's beating it, and like it happened like 3 minutes ago before you sat down and did that thing. So, but they estimated that it would take like 3 weeks to get through the first 4 turns. Some guilds I know did it in 2. I know, Mr. P, I know you don't want to tip your free company's progression strat here, but you tweeted that you're on the 5th coil, right?
Yeah. And the 5th coil, I hate that place.
How's the progression going? Is it going well at least?
It goes well, but this game does everything it can to stop you in terms of progression when it gets to turn 5. Turn 1 has a few tricks up its sleeve. Turn 2, few more up its sleeve. Turn 3 doesn't even deserve to be in the game, in my opinion. Turn 4 tests you to the next level, and then turn 5 says, all those things you learned in turns 1 through 4, forget them. They don't matter anymore. We are going to make you cry. Yoshi P said that. Turn 5 will make you cry. He said that, and he's not far off.
Is it? Let me ask you this, and I know, I certainly don't want to get into physical strategy, but can you tell me this? Is it sheer challenge, or is it the fact that we're going to get the Crystal Tower, and we're going to talk about that in a minute, which is supposed to be less difficult than this? Is it real just challenge, or is the gear just not there for guilds to be able to take this on yet?
It's a little bit of both. There's mechanics that completely forego your gear.
Yeah.
So, I'd say gear. Obviously, gear makes everything easier. The more gear you have, the better, and it's really throttled right now. If Crystal Tower were available right now, I can tell you it would be, if it hasn't been beat, it would be a lot closer to being beat. Just the sheer fact that you have another outlet of gear to obtain, and it's still better than the gear you have going in, that would make it a lot easier. And but that fight, man, I hate it so much. And I want to go back to turn 3 because when I first watched that live translation, I think it said turn 3 instead of turn 4. But I know Reinhardt went back and he did one where he wasn't under the pressure of doing it live, and he said 3 weeks to be turn 3 when I first watched it. My face hit my hand so hard. Turn 3 is a waste of everyone's time and the developer's time as well.
That bad, huh?
It is a waste of gaming time of about 8 minutes of my time every week.
Wonder
why.
He feels really strong. Like, there's no follow-up for that, Gary. I don't think we have anything to say on turn 3 being a waste of time. It's okay.
Just throw a throwaway in the middle
really
there.
Hard. I think they took everything they were going to do for turn. Like, yeah, let's just make turn 3 really easy, and we'll put any into everything we had considered for. We'll put it in turn 5. Just do that instead. Everything over there. Enemies that don't attack you. Enemies that the whole zone starts. Turn 4, the name of the zone is still in Japanese, and so are some of the buffs.
Alrighty. So what else do we know? 2.1 is definitely coming sometime this year, correct?
Correct.
Yes. Correct.
So what do you guys think you're gonna do? I guess teams are gonna start thinking about what to do with maybe some of the older content as new content is added. What do you think that means?
I was so sad when he started talking about this. I don't mind them making previous content easier. That's fine. That's something they should do because Coil has a story behind it that I think people should experience. That's fine. The way I don't like them talking about making it easier is the way they want to make it easier. And Mr. Byrne has commented. No. Mr. Byrne has commented on this, how he does not like the Echo. And I like the Echo even less here as an idea. He said it's just an idea.
You know what's funny is I'm totally reversed on this now.
Oh, no.
Not in the story mode, but in the raids. Okay, first off, as far as dealing with old content, they have a pass on 2.1 because they're inserting content between current level 50 and 8-man Binding Coil. They're arguably inserting Crystal Tower in between those two stages. So Binding Coil is still going to be a relevant raid and the raid for 2.1. 2.2 is probably when we're going to see something actually make Binding Coil old content at that point. So they've got a pass for 2.1. You don't like the way the Echo's being used? Because to me, I've always... Gary, you do this too. We talk about an older game and we're like, oh man, I'd love to go back and play that and, relive how cool that first instance was, or that second instance was the first time I hit it, and take a friend through that. But then you start playing and you're like, this sucks. I don't want to play this anymore. Let's just get to end game and do what we want to do. I love this because what they're planning to do is take the Echo. If you don't know what the Echo is, it's a buff that you get if you fail a story mode quest. And if you fail it multiple times, the Echo will get stronger and stronger. It's a buff that gives you increased hit points and increased damage output, thus making the story quest easier. My only gripe with it is that you don't have a decision on whether or not the buff gets placed on you, so it's very easy to miss or forget that it's been placed on you, and if you don't want it, you can shut it off if you remember that it was there. So that's my only gripe, is give me the option. Instead of nerfing the content, Gary, they're going to use this to give you the option. Play the content as it was originally laid out with the original challenge and the original gear levels, or go ahead and turn the Echo on and up your characters a little bit so you can experience the story aspect of older content and move into the newer content.
All right, I want to hear the counter argument now. Mr. P, why does this sound like such a bad idea?
I do agree having the option is a good idea to make things easier, but the Echo is really just... I feel like a lot of groups are going to abuse its presence versus decide whether or not they want to use it. At that point, it's probably not going to be, oh, okay, well, if I want to do it, it's going to be, well, why would I not use the Echo unless I was already...
Yeah, but what if they only implement this like after the content has been available for a good amount of time, and we've seen multiple patches come out, and
that's when they're going to. I mean, they're not.
Yeah, not initially.
Near
like, hey,
the current content.
Here's brand new content, and here's the option of the Echo. I agree. If they turned it on day one, people would definitely probably take the easy way out and just utilize it, right? But do you really
wipe 5 times and then let's do it?
But who really?
That's exactly
who really cares 5-6 months down the road? I mean, our progression raters, they're past this content. You don't. What do you care?
See, for me, it's less about the progression rating and more about the epicness of the dungeon itself. I feel like it takes away a lot from the dungeon to be able to do it with those buffs so easily that...
But what do you care?
I mean, yeah.
You're done at that point.
No,
you did it.
I like leaving things as they are regardless, but I feel like it needs to retain some level of epicness. It doesn't need to be ridiculously hard.
When it was balls hard, like I did.
I don't believe that.
Oh, well, how about this?
Believe that.
I mean, what if they did something? I guess they could potentially do something at some point, maybe like some sort of item or title attached to doing it on hard mode or non-echo mode or something. So you're worried about the fact that like down the road when other people have cleared it, you want the Ep9 to be like, hey man, I haven't cleared that thing. Back in the day,
I do not
before
want
the Echo was put in place.
I used to be like that with
noobs.
11. I used to be like that with 11 when like they raised the level cap and everything. I'm like, oh, this is all so easy now. I used to be like that big time. I don't know. It's so hard for me to describe how I like dungeons to be left untouched and then let things like the level cap being raised and things like that take care of it. I don't mind if, like, I don't want them to bring the dungeon up to level 55 or 60 when they raise the level cap and keep it relevant. I don't want them to do that. I want it to get phased out.
I'm on the fence with this. I'm like two-sided with this. Like, again, the option doesn't seem like a big deal to me, and I think it's like okay to give people the option. At the same time, I'm kind of a fan when games don't allow players to see every bit of content. Like, I think it's okay that like you can't see everything. I kind of like
I agree
that
with
sense
that.
of mystery and like, hey, like. Yeah, if I'm more of a casual player, it's okay that I don't get everything in the game. It's okay that I don't get the top end gear. It's okay that I don't run all the top end stuff and see everything. I think that actually adds to the game a little bit, and I think it's okay to have. I don't think you have to open up everything at some point to like allow your players to see absolutely everything, even if you're an absolutely terrible player.
Another thing is that I feel like they don't even need the Echo really because they're implementing less of a gear throttle. By releasing Crystal Tower, you can, if you wanted to see Coil, you could get the gear to pass it much more easily. It's very passable on full item level 70, and even with some item level 60 gear right now, if your group knows what they're doing. And I feel like with item level 80 gear coming to the Crystal Tower, plus all the extra time to get the mythology points and everything, that something like the Echo is on a level unnecessary because of how they're lowering the throttle of the obtaining of gear. I feel like that in itself acts as a buff enough to the zone that you don't need a giant HP boost or damage boost. That's being done in the game itself for you.
I agree with you, Gary.
Maybe
on
you could
the
pay for the Echo as a microtransaction.
Oh God! Don't even say that. Don't even say that.
What?
I agree with you in concept. With some things should be hard and challenging, and not everybody should achieve that. I don't like that everybody gets the Magitech mount. At some point in their story progression. I don't like that. I thought it should be more challenging. I am cool with things being gated behind sheer skill or sheer time investments in an MMO. I think there's other games that are coming out that are going to really capitalize on that. I think what we're talking about here, though, if you gate this type of content to the extreme where a big portion of your audience can't do it, you're alienating the primary portion of your audience by taking them out of being able to do the story. And that's what this particular MMO is all about, is story. When you start gating that and leaving people out of it, you start sending your customers elsewhere, I think.
Yeah, it's tough. It's a tough give and take, like you said, because I think the one thing I sort of like in MMOs when they do gate some stuff is that, like, eventually if you keep playing the game, even if that content's like you're a little more casual, you start hearing about it. People start talking like, oh, did you know, we ran this. You hear things, and then it makes you intrigued by it, and then you want to go do it, and it gives you something to sort of look forward to. So I see this give and take, but I don't know. In this case, I agree. If it's part of your story, I don't know.
It's rough. We'll agree to disagree.
All right, some more info. We got some info on the Crystal Tower.
Bunch of elitists on this show.
Exactly.
I tell you.
Yeah, Mr. BYRNE, what's wrong with you?
So they included some info about the Crystal Tower. So this is going to be the first 24-man raid, 3 parties, built like current 8-man parties. Now this sounds actually really cool. Groups may have to split up and come back together throughout the raid. Sounds pretty interesting.
That's cool.
I would prefer it that way.
What do you think we're going to see boss-wise or plot-wise or gear-wise? Like, break it down. I mean, the Crystal Tower, actually, and fill me in, Crystal Tower was in a previous Final Fantasy game, correct?
3. It was the final dungeon of Final Fantasy 3.
So what do you think boss-wise, plot-wise? What kind of stuff do you think we might see here?
Plot-wise, again, can't really go into spoilers if I want to say my entire thoughts, but I feel like it's more about Allegan stuff, technology. If you go to Southeast Mordona, you can see the entrance. You can actually walk up to the entrance there and look at it, and the technology of the entrance itself looks like it's very put into the lore, and it's dated back to an ancient civilization. As for boss-wise, they've already revealed some art retakes on bosses from the Final Fantasy, but they've renamed one of the bosses, but it's the same exact model as he was in Final Fantasy 3. I believe he's called Hein now, and then they have Cloud of Darkness, which I'm sure they won't actually call Cloud of Darkness. I'm sure they'll give it some fancy name, but same ideas, and we can look to Final Fantasy 3 for the mechanics those bosses use and how they might be implemented into the game. But I don't expect we'll see a lot of the really notable bosses until future Crystal Tower patches.
So Crystal Tower was expected to take about, they said, 90 to 120 minutes, so somewhere around there, hour and a half, 2 hours.
Which is a pretty long instance for a Duty Finder instance, I think.
Well, AK is 120.
Really? You're running AK in 2 hours?
But I'm saying you have the limit for it. That's the time limit.
Oh, no. But this was Yoshi P's estimate of time of completion, not the timer that they were going to put on it. This was his estimate of completion. He said 90 to 120 minutes per run.
I'm fine with that.
That is, yeah, but I just think I'm fine with it too. I just think it's a pretty big time for a Duty Finder, like to get a random group and go do.
If you thought AK was bad.
And yes, chat, we are talking about the original real Final Fantasy 3, not Final Fantasy VI, which is Final Fantasy 3 in the United States.
Yeah.
The real Final Fantasy.
Thank you for clarifying that.
Gear requirements. Going to be around the level of hard mode Titan. So this is actually going to be easier than the current binding coils 8-man, correct?
Yep. Yes, it will be.
This actually, and this came out of the Tokyo Game Show as well. Housing. Everybody's been waiting for this. A 2.1. This was kind of split down the middle, wasn't it? When you started talking about housing for a lot of it, was like some good news, some bad news. Bad news is that initially only free company housing is going to be available for the 3 cities. You know, so you can't get your own house yet. No. Do we know why exactly they're doing it like this?
Servers.
Oh.
They want to test the servers.
We need to buy more servers.
Right. See the load of housing and people using it. And, yep. Servers.
But good news on this, so it sounds like you're going to have like plenty to do. Over 380 items right now. You can customize the inside, the outside. There's 3 different sizes based on what you can afford. Some of them look really good. Some of them look pretty badass, actually. What's with all the different types of furniture? And where are you going to be able to get all of this stuff?
I was so excited when I saw all of this furniture. I saw a Garuda bed. I saw an Ifrit mantle. I don't know what Titan's going to make.
Are people going to craft this stuff? Are you going to be able to make this stuff?
I saw a Marlboro bookcase. I saw a Cactar lamp. I saw all kinds of
man.
incredible stuff. So you're going to be able to get it by buying it with Gil, of course. You'll also be able to get it from drops. Now, we don't know if they're going to be dungeons or just random drops or fates, I would imagine, would be another one that we'll see these added to. Then there's also talk, probably not in 2.1, but a little later after 2.1, of giving crafters the ability to make some of these things as well. And they're not talking about, okay, a carpenter can make all of your wooden furniture. They're talking about all crafters, even culinarians, being able to make things for homes. Like, you could level your cook up to make food that you can set on tables in houses and things like that. So everybody's going to get a piece of the action at some point on the crafting pie. So plenty of ways to get this.
Interesting. They also teased something else about the housing. So they're looking at minions to run around and chocobo raising. But you also be able to grow your own weed.
What?
Yeah.
What? You can grow your own weed?
Grow some weed.
For your chocobos.
Yes, for your chocobos. So you're gonna build your own greens for your chocobos. And we haven't even talked about like the NPCs, the stores, all that kind of stuff. NPC, the whole housing system seems like it's gonna get more and more complex. How well do you think this is gonna do? I mean, I feel like in Final Fantasy, it's gonna do actually a lot better than in a lot of other MMOs.
Amazing. Anyone who came over from Final Fantasy XI, definitely gonna love it. Although they're gonna definitely want personal housing a lot too when that comes along. Even people who don't say they don't care about housing, care about housing. They want to come home to a cool house. Aesthetics is just such a big deal in the Final Fantasy universe, and a whole house for your canvas, it's a pretty big deal. And I do want to say one thing about the required items, Mr. BYRNE, for making certain items. You can already obtain some of these items from bosses. Ifrit's Horn, Garuda's Feather, Titan's Heart. Those are all items that will have no purpose in the game currently, will likely be used for crafting beds. And we've seen the Garuda bed and the Ifrit mantle and all that stuff on the walls and things. That's those items. Don't throw them out, people. In case you were like, what is this for? I'm getting rid of it. Don't get rid of it. Save it. Please. I think it's going to do well.
All right, last up in the Tokyo Game Show, there's a brief bit about the Wolves Den PvP, so 4v4 arena type, player versus player. There's going to be points for participating, and you use those for rewards, pretty familiar stuff. But there's going to be PvP specific abilities, like we hinted at earlier. So how is it, if they got into anything about how this actually, I'm going to get my abilities, like my character doesn't already have them? I mean, how is this going to work? Do we know?
Nope.
No.
I mean, I wanted this. This was the one topic that I think they probably should have talked more about at Tokyo Game Show, because it's the biggest question mark out of all of these, and there's still not a lot of answers. We don't know how the abilities are going to work. We've seen pictures of PvP gear, great. We've seen pictures of the Wolves Den, the arena that you fight in, great. We've seen that it's 4v4. We now know that it's going to be bracketed at least into 30, 40, and 50 brackets. But that's it. And with these new abilities, do I have to go and learn them? Is there going to be some type of prerequisite to do this besides just being level 30? There's a lot that we don't know, and I think they could have answered a little bit more here.
How does the Duty Finder play into this?
Yeah, you can queue for random if you want to, and just grab a 4v4 team and go.
You know why I didn't get to test it in Beta Phase 4, right? Because it was attached to the Duty Finder, and I didn't get to unlock it. So that means you might have to reserve an instance.
Right. However, you don't have to worry about getting rooked by a pre-made, so that's cool. If you want to use the Duty Finder, go ahead. You'll be placed in with 7 other people that use the Duty Finder. Pre-made groups of 4 will actually have to go to the arena and match up against other pre-made groups of 4.
All right, last up on today's show, we're going to talk about the a little more about the Tokyo Game Show. But first, I want to tell you guys about Audible. Got a great deal going on with sponsors Audible. Love having these guys on as sponsors. I want to hook you guys up with a free 30-day trial and a free audiobook. All you got to do is use the URL audible.com/gamebreaker. And I'm recommending this one today. Anybody check the Ender's Game 20th special 20th anniversary edition out?
I'm practicing piano, Ender. Come turn the pages for me. Oh, is the monitor boy too busy to help his brother? Is he too smart? Gotta go kill some buggers, astronaut? No, no, I don't want your help. I can do it on my own, you little bastard, you little third. This won't take long, Andrew, said the doctor. Ender nodded. It's designed to be removed without infection, without damage, but there'll be some tickling, and some people say they have a feeling of something missing. You'll keep looking around for something you were looking for, but you can't find it and you can't remember what it was, so I'll tell you. It's the monitor you're looking for, and it isn't there. In a few days, that feeling will pass. The doctor was twisting something at the back of Ender's head.
Ooh.
Suddenly,
check it out. Ender's Game on Audible.
From his neck to his groin. Ender felt
New York bestseller, #1 Times bestseller. This could be yours today free. All you got to do is go sign up, make a new account on Audible by using the URL audible.com/gamebreaker. Download the app, put it on your iPhone, your iOS device, or your Android. And you could be downloading Ender's Game, a special 20th anniversary edition tonight. Definitely highly recommend that one. All right, so last up today, let's see. So the Titan.
Is the book still going?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
I don't know. I was ready to stop the
still.
show and just listen to it.
I do that sometimes. I start listening to it. I'm just like, wow, I don't want to stop it now because this is a good part. Wait, no, I don't want to stop it now because this is a good part. Wait, I don't. How bad of a time did Titan have at the Tokyo Game Show this time? He had a pretty bad time. He had a pretty bad time.
Just a bit.
You guys ass kicked.
Not happy.
No.
Yeah.
All right, so here's the deal. So at the Tokyo Game Show, a random world would win cactuar earrings each time Titan was killed at the Tokyo Game Show. So players playing there, they pick a random thing. And apparently he got his ass kicked pretty bad because every single world won the earrings.
Yep, 61 wins.
Yes. Guess the team didn't
now
like
keep
this
in mind,
so much.
okay, this isn't hard mode Titan, right?
No.
This is story mode Titan made into an 8-man group. And people have been able to play the game now. But these 61 wins came when Tokyo Game Show was still sealed to the public. It was invitation only, and the event was already over. All the worlds won the cactuar earrings.
So Yoshi didn't like this. Apparently, the team. What actually happened? What did they do?
More earrings.
He hates this.
More earrings. Yay. Hey guys. Hey dev team. Yeah, they're all gone. Yeah, we need more. Different kind.
Different kind.
Okay.
Different kind.
Bombs.
All right, there you go.
Bombs. Okay. I'll tell them. Okay, we're doing it.
There you go. There they are.
And you know what, though? The dev team is probably wishing that was the scenario. Because Yoshi P, when he did his thing, he said he announced the bomb earrings competition before even consulting with the dev teams. So, yeah.
He was just like, they'll figure it out and make them.
We're going to start over, and we're going to give bomb earrings away instead.
All right, so how many worlds won the new bomb earrings?
61.
61.
Oh, there you go.
I love free stuff.
So who doesn't?
I didn't even have to do anything. I just went on Twitter and I said, "Hell, Sargatanis." All right.
There you go. You won. All right. So
Way to go, everybody that attended the Tokyo Game Show.
how are you guys managing all your stuff in storage? By the way, how's that working out?
That's a bad thing right now. It's like I'm really loving everybody for winning these, and I'm really hating them for winning these at the same time. Because bag management is starting to it's not an issue for me yet, but it's creeping up there, and free earrings that I'm never going to throw out takes up 2 slots somewhere, whether it's my bags or my retainer's bags or somewhere. So, yeah, I don't think it's a huge problem yet, but if you're going to do all the crafting, you definitely got to be selective. You have to be selective.
All right, so last up, let's do some viewer questions and get the heck out of here for the week. If you guys have viewer questions for us, send them over to submit@gamebreaker.tv. That is the email address you can send your questions to for the XIV Nation crew. And we love YouTube questions, video questions. So record yourself, keep it like 30 to 60 seconds, hopefully. Email us the link at submit@gamebreaker.tv. We don't get enough of these. We don't get video questions on the show. Come on, guys, let's go. We need some video questions. All right, first up this week. Yeah, I'm sure you will. Lathander Dre says, the only question on my mind is when the crap are we going to see world transfers become available? Hang on, there's a UFO flying by. Happens once a show. It's like a new thing. October.
That's what the aliens are saying.
October. Early October, hopefully. Hopefully early October. All right, next up, Randy Doan wants to know. Goes back to our earlier discussion. He says, I don't want to fake grind a level to level a second 50. But the alternatives of the hunting log, dungeoning, leave meets, class quests every 5 levels leave much to be desired. How do people who have leveled a second, third, or even fourth job do it?
I love this question. Because it's like, okay, I've already done 150. What else can I do besides these 5 things? Because I don't want to do these 5 things. Where every other MMO, or most MMOs, would just make you play the exact same content over and over again as far as storyline A to B. Here's 5 or 6 options to level alternate classes. I don't want to do those. Is there another way to do it? Seriously, though, with your second and third classes, be smart. I mentioned it earlier. Be smart about the way you pick up the side quests. I still, to this day, have not done anything Guildhest-wise above my first 2 level 10 Guildhests. I still have all of those left. And that is huge experience bonuses the first time you do those. So save those for your second, third, or fourth classes. I didn't use leave quests on my initial run through 50. Now remember, not only leave quests, but you need to do a quest to open up the leaves in each area. Leave those alone. Let them sit there. Play your storyline out through Limsa Luminsa if that's where you started. Leave all the side stuff for Gridania and Ul'dah alone. Touch it on your second and third classes. Then when you get to fourth, you're going to have to grind. If you don't want to grind by the time you're at your fourth, this isn't the game for you, quite simply.
I will say this, though. There is a Guildhest. I think it's around level 35, and it's a bomb Guildhest where it's just an infinite wave of bombs that spawn and blow themselves up, and you get EXP for them. That is a great Guildhest, even after the first-time bonus. Around level 35 or 40. Amazing Guildhest if you have a group that does it constantly.
All right, last up from Alicia Monique. Nielsen asks, says, what information from the Tokyo Game Show are you most looking forward to? Mr. Byrne?
Crystal Tower. 100%. Not even close. Crystal Tower.
I have to disagree. I have 2 things. 1 was Extreme Mode Primals. 2 was the mystery boss he alluded to that's going to be that's currently in the game as an easy difficulty fight and is going to be implemented as a hard mode in 2.1. I have a theory of which boss it might be.
Oh, and treasure hunts. Treasure hunts.
He's not going to drop any spoilers.
Treasure hunts. All about it.
Treasure hunts are cool.
Michael POVEROMO, follow him on Twitter at MrHappy1227, and of course go over to his YouTube channel and check out all his stuff over there on the YouTubes. It's Mr. Happy. Always a pleasure, sir. Mr. Mike Byrne, follow him on Twitter at MagicMan, MAGICKMANN1. Go to XIV Nation, where he runs and resides everything over there. You can follow me on Twitter, Gary Gannon. Follow Gamebreaker TV at Gamebreaker TV. And don't forget to follow XIV Nation at XIV Nation. You all should be following that one for sure. You should be following XIV Nation. We do the show live every Tuesday at 3? No, 4. 4. That would be 4 PDT. And we'll be back again next week for the live shows. So come on over for the live shows. A lot of fun. Have fun. And we'll see you next week for some more XIV Reborn. Have a great week.